Okay, hi everyone. This is Krishnendu Sir and I am coming to you live from IC Academy. So this is a very important week for you guys, right? Because WBCS prelims is coming. এই উইকেই তোমাদের WBCS prelims রয়েছে and at first I must say wish you all the very best. তার সাথে সাথে কিছু জিনিস বলার আছে students who are taking this exam for the first time must remember filling your details properly. And then if we talk about English section, roughly you will get more or less 25 questions, right? Now in those 25 questions 8 to 10 questions will come from your vocabulary section. That means synonym, antonym, idioms, one word substitution, foreign words. Now let me tell you, if you do not know the meaning of those words, just leave it. Don't ever make the guesswork. Guesswork করার এখানে কোনো জায়গা নেই কারণ আমার নেগেটিভ মার্কিং রয়েছে। তাই যদি আমি জানি এই ওয়ার্ডটার মিনিং, I will attempt it. Otherwise, I will just leave it. I will say focus on the grammar because you will find the grammar section easier than the vocabulary section. So if you can you can complete 20 questions from grammar section, or in that matter 15 questions from grammar section, I will say that is better than attempting all the questions and make errors. তাই আবার বলছি ইংলিশ সেকশন তোমাদের কেমন হবে তো জানা নেই, কিন্তু যাই কোয়েশ্চেন আসুক না কেন যদি তোমরা ভোক্যাব সেকশন থেকে কমন পাও বা ভোক্যাব সেকশন থেকে হয়তো ইউ সাপোজ ইউ নো দ্য মিনিং অফ দ্যাট ওয়ার্ড, দেন ট্রাই ইট. Otherwise just leave it. Don't ever make the guesswork. Okay, so wish you all the very best. Now today our topic is conjunction. Okay, so conjunction, what is conjunction? Conjunction jinishta ki? Now we all know the definition of this conjunction, right? Conjunction means a word that conjoins. It may be two words, it may be two phrases, it may be two clauses, whatever it is. Whenever a word conjoins, then it will be called a conjunction. For example, let's take an example. Suppose if I say Ram and Sam are going there. So in this sentence, Ram and Sam, these are the two words. Aro precisely bolle they are the nouns and they are connected by this and. So we can say and is a conjunction because it connects these two nouns. Similarly, if I say though it was raining, yet he went out. Now look, in this sentence, though it was raining, that is a part, yet he went out, that is another part. Now in these two parts, you can clearly see that yet connects these two clauses. Again, a conjunction that connects two clauses. So conjunction is basically an only function of a conjunction is to connect. There is no other function. A conjunction can never be the subject of a sentence or in that matter object of a verb. এই কাজগুলো কিন্তু conjunction এর নয়. Conjunction, that very name means conjoin, and that's what it does. Conjoin, it joins. Understood? So let's find out the questions. Now this is your first question, spotting the error, and this is CGL 2020-12 question. Now solve it and then I will discuss. You can clearly see the board, right? Okay, I will just leave so that you can clearly see the board. Let's find out. Look, scarcely had the driver seen the child when he applied the brakes and held the car at once. Now, I will discuss 2 or 3 things here. First of all, look at this adverb, scarcely. Scarcely, that is an adverb, and it is said adverb of frequency. Now, scarcely, that adverb has been placed at the beginning of the sentence. Now, there are similar adverbs. For example, there are hardly, there are scarcely, there are rarely. These adverbs, they are called adverbs of frequency. Now, these adverbs, when they are placed at the beginning of the sentence, যখন তারা সেন্টেন্সের ফার্স্টে বসে, they create inversion. তার আগে তোমরা কোয়েশ্চেন করতে পারো যে স্যার why do they sit at the beginning of the sentence? Now, they can be used after the subject, they can be used before the subject at the beginning of the sentence. The difference is when they are placed after the subject, they don't emphasize the sentence. Sentence emphasize kore na, a simple sentence. But when they are used at the beginning of the sentence, it is only used to put an emphasis on the sentence. Let's find out. Suppose if I say I hardly visit her. I hardly visit her. So, this is a normal sentence, I hardly visit her. Now, when I put this adverb at the beginning of the sentence, just look at the structure. Hardly do I visit her. So, when the adverb comes at the beginning of the sentence, it creates, first of all, it creates an inversion. Number 2, this structure is used only to put an emphasis. এই সেন্টেন্সটা থেকে এই সেন্টেন্সটা অনেকটা জোর দিয়ে বলা, I hardly visit her, hardly do I visit her, অনেকটা জোর দিয়ে বলা. So this structure is used for the sake of emphasis. Now, when these adverbs come at the beginning of the sentence, they create inversion. Now, what does inversion means? Inversion. What does this mean? Inversion means the inverted structure of the sentence. তাহলে আমাকে জানতে হবে what is the normal order of the sentence? The normal order of the sentence is subject, verb and object. This is the normal order of the sentence. But when the sentence gets inverted, it becomes auxiliary verb plus subject plus main verb plus object. This is the inverted structure. Now, this structure seems familiar. Why? Because in case of interrogative sentences, we use this structure. আমরা যখন interrogative sentence করি, what are you doing here? Have you done your breakfast? আমরা যখন interrogative sentence করি, we normally use this structure. But when these adverbs come at the beginning of the sentence, they create inversion. That means they are followed by this structure. Look at the sentence. Hardly, do, that is auxiliary verb, I subject, visit main verb, her object. That is called inversion. তাহলে পুরো আইডিয়াটা ক্লিয়ার হয়েছে? There are many adverbs who create inversion when they are used at the beginning of the sentence. যেমন এখানে তিনটে অ্যাডভার্ব দেওয়া রয়েছে, এছাড়া never, show, these adverbs often, these adverbs little, these adverbs create inversion whenever they are placed at the beginning of the sentence, right? এবার আমরা আসি আমাদের টপিকে. Now the question is whether this sentence is correct or not. Sentence টা correct কিনা, that's we need to discuss. Now so look, scarcely had, so this is the auxiliary verb, the driver, subject, shin, that is the main verb. So inverted structure is used with scarcely, therefore in the first part there is no error. But it is scarcely, these three adverbs, scarcely, hardly and rarely, these three adverbs, whenever they are followed by a conjunction, that conjunction must be this one, when. That means they are only followed by when preposition. You cannot use any other, preposition, no, conjunction, you cannot use any other conjunction after them. It must always be when. So in this sentence, when is used, therefore there is no error in this sentence. So correct answer is D. The sentence is absolutely correct. Understood? তাহলে এখান থেকে আমরা কি শিখলাম? Whenever you find scarcely, hardly, rarely, these three adverbs in the sentence, and if they are followed by a conjunction, that conjunction must always be when, not any other conjunction. Usually in the questions you will find than, you will find then. You always know this is not the correct one. The correct one is when. Clear? Understood? Chalo. Let's find out our next question. This is from 2023 CHSL. No sooner had he read the telegram then he started crying out loud. Chalo answer karo. দেখা যাক. তাহলে দেখো কি বলছে, no sooner had he read the telegram then he started crying out loud. এখানে আমরা ডিসকাশনটা স্টার্ট করব with this phrase no sooner. This is very important one because if you are preparing for state examination, this one is their favorite topic. এটাই কিন্তু ফেভারিট টপিক. তোমরা স্টেট এক্সাম সেটা বলো, তোমার পিএসসি বলো, মিসলেনিয়াস বলো, প্রচুরবার এই ধরনের বা এই নো শুনার দিয়ে কোয়েশ্চেন্স এসছে. নো শুনার হচ্ছে এমন একটা ফ্রেজ that is always used at the beginning of the sentence. Always. You cannot ever put it after the subject. This will always be used at the beginning of the sentence. And not only that, just like the previous one, যেমন আমরা একটু আগে ডিসকাস করলাম scarcely, hardly, just like that, no sooner is always followed by than. So this one is the wrong. The correct phrase is no sooner than. That means whenever you are using a conjunction with no sooner, that must be than, never then. যেমন আমরা আগেরটা দেখলাম হার্ডলি, স্কার্সলি, রেয়ারলির সাথে when ইউজ করি, ঠিক সেরকম ভাবে নো সুনারের সাথে আমরা দ্যান ইউজ করি। এখানে আরেকটা জিনিস বলে দিই, লুক এট দ্য সেন্টেন্স স্ট্রাকচার। আফটার নো সুনার হ্যাড, দেন সাবজেক্ট, দেন মেন ভার্ব বসেছে, তার মানে ইনভার্টেড সেন্টেন্স। এখানে নো সুনার ইউজুয়ালি ইজ ফলোড বাই টু স্ট্রাকচার্স। আমি দুটো স্ট্রাকচারই এখানে লিখে দিচ্ছি, নো সুনার প্লাস had plus subject plus v3 and then plus subject plus v2, and the next one is no sooner plus did plus subject plus v1, and similarly in this part than plus subject plus v2. So in both the cases this part remains same. In both the cases you have to use than plus subject plus v2. v2 means past form of the verb, so you have to use past form of the verb with than always. But in this structure, whenever you are using had, it must be followed by past participle form of the verb. Whenever you are using did, it must be followed by present form of the verb. That's the difference. Otherwise in both the sentences the remaining part remains the same, but these two structures are usually followed by no sooner. So whenever you find no sooner, whenever you find a sentence with no sooner, first check what is the conjunction used, then check whether these two structures are followed or not, because no sooner is always followed by an inverted sentence, so inversion must be there with no sooner. Clear? Understood? So in this question the error lies in the B part of the sentence. The B part contains the error. Understood? Sure. This is your next sentence, CGL 2024. Chalo answer karo. Look, he had hardly stepped out of the house than it began to rain cats and dogs. So I have already discussed hardly whenever is followed by a conjunction, that conjunction must be when. But look at here, than is there, therefore the error lies in the B part. It must be replaced by when, never than. Right? Okay? But there is another thing I must discuss. Look at the phrase here, cats and dogs. We know the meaning of this phrase, right? Cats and dogs means incessantly, যেটাকে আমরা বাংলায় বলি অযোধ্যারায় বৃষ্টি হচ্ছে। But remember, whenever you are using these phrases, usually we use it in a wrong way. When I suppose আমরা কিভাবে বলি, when I say যে it has been raining like cats and dogs, which is wrong, because the meaning of like has already been included in this phrase. The meaning of like preposition has already been used included in this phrase, and that's why we cannot say it has been raining like cats and dogs. Simply it has been raining cats and dogs. Similar phrases, bag and baggage. Suppose if I say I left my house with bag and baggage, you will get a 0, because with preposition cannot be used with bag and baggage. Bag and baggage er sange amra with preposition use korte pari na, because the meaning of this preposition has been included with the meaning of bag and baggage. So if you are using another preposition that is superfluous in nature, that means amra similar thing barbar use korchi, we cannot do that. Grammar says you cannot use more than one word in order to describe something. If you are using, then it is grammatically incorrect, and that's why with these phrases sob shomoy mone rekho with this, because I think there was a question like that where preposition was given which is grammatically wrong. That means questions have come on this rule. That's why I am discussing it. Whenever you get these kinds of phrases, just find out whether there is a preposition before it or not. Jodi preposition thake, then and then sekhane error mark korbe. Clear? Chalo. Next one, CHSL 2022 er question. চলো দেখি। Now, until you do not give the keys of the safe, you will be shot. Before discussing this question, I want to clear some of your doubts regarding until and unless. That means where should we use until and where should we use unless. Now, until means up to a certain time. Yes, okay, yes, okay. So until means up to a certain time, and unless means ki, unless means if not. That is the meaning of unless, and that is the meaning of until. Number one. Number two, until denotes time. Until denotes time, and unless it denotes a condition. It denotes a condition. An example देखिए. I won't leave until you come. আচ্ছা, যারা তোমরা অনলাইন এখনো জয়েন করে গেছো, প্লিজ একটা লাইক করে দাও সেশনটাকে। ওকে, আচ্ছা, তাহলে এখানে আমরা দেখলাম কি I won't leave until you come, আর এখানে আমরা যদি দেখি সেম সেন্টেন্স যদি আমরা লিখি, Look, I have written same sentences. I won't leave until you come. I won't go until you come. ডিফারেন্সটা কি? এখানে বলছি যে যতক্ষণ না তুমি আসছো আমি যাব না। এগেইন টাইম ইজ ডিনোটেড। এখানে বলছি আই ওন্ট গো আনলেস ইউ কাম, যদি তুমি না আসো তাহলে আমি যত মানে এখানে বলতে গেছে যে যত তোমার যদি তুমি না আসো তাহলে আমি যাব না। দ্যাট মিনস ওয়ান ডিনোটস টাইম, অ্যানাদার ডিনোটস ইভেন্ট। দ্যাট ইজ দ্য ডিফারেন্স। নাও উই আর টকিং অ্যাবাউট ডিফারেন্সেস, দেয়ার ইজ আ সিমিলারিটি। দুটোর মধ্যে একটা সিমিলারিটিও কিন্তু রয়েছে। কি সিমিলারিটি? দে ক্যানট বি ইউজড in a negative sentence. Suppose look at this sentence, until you do not give. দেখো এই সেন্টেন্সে এই একটা ক্লজ রয়েছে, until you do not give the keys of the safe. This is one clause, you will be shot. This is another clause. And whenever you are using until and unless in a clause, that clause must be positive, never negative. তার মানে সহজ কথায় বললে আনটিল এবং আনলেসের সাথে আমরা নো বা নট ইউজ করতে পারবো না। দেখো এখানে যে সেন্টেন্সগুলো লিখেছি আমি কোথাও কি নো বা নট ইউজ করেছি? আমি বলেছি আই ওন্ট লিভ। নাও লুক, দিস ইজ ওয়ান ক্লজ, until you come. Look, this is another clause, and the clause that uses until can never be negative. সেটা কোনোভাবে কিন্তু নেগেটিভ হতে পারে না। সিমিলারলি আই ওন্ট গো আনলেস ইউ কাম, সেন্টেন্স ইজ পজিটিভ। যে পার্টটায় যে ক্লজে তোমরা আনটিল বা আনলেস ইউজ করছো সেই ক্লজ কখনো নেগেটিভ হতে পারে না। তাহলে এখানে আনটিল ক্লজে কি দেওয়া রয়েছে? নেগেটিভ দেওয়া রয়েছে, নট বসানো রয়েছে। দেয়ারফোর দ্য এরর লাইজ ইন দ্য এ পার্ট অফ দ্য সেন্টেন্স। সেই কারণেই এ পার্টে এরর রয়েছে। তাহলে কারেক্ট সেন্টেন্স কি হবে? কারেক্ট সেন্টেন্স হবে until you give the keys of the safe you will be shot. যতক্ষণ না তুমি সেফের কিসটা আমাকে দিচ্ছ, যদি তুমি না দাও, যদি তুমি না দাও তাহলে তোমাকে কিন্তু শুট করা হবে। আন্ডারস্টুড? চল নেক্সট কোয়েশ্চেন দেখি। সাপোজিং ইফ ইউ আচ্ছা সিপিও 2023 এর কোয়েশ্চেন। দেখো কি বলছে, সাপোজিং ইফ ইউর ফ্লাইট গেটস ডিলেড হাউ উইল ইউ রিচ দ্য ভেন্যু অন টাইম। লুক অ্যাট দ্য এ পার্ট অফ দ্য সেন্টেন্স, সাপোজিং অ্যান্ড ইফ। আচ্ছা এই যে ইফ, what does it do? If introduces a condition, if is used to introduce if is used to introduce a condition, right? But supposing supposing also does the same. That means supposing is also be used to introduce a condition. এখানে কন্ডিশনটা কি? কন্ডিশনটা হচ্ছে your flight gets delayed, that is the condition. So suppose you have a bike and that solves all your purposes. Would you ever want to buy one or buy another? তোমার কাছে অলরেডি একটা গাড়ি রয়েছে যাতে তুমি তোমার মোটামুটি কাজগুলো তুমি কমপ্লিট করে নিতে পারছো, তাহলে কি তুমি আবার একটা গাড়ি বা বাইক কেনার কথা ভাববে না? কারণ বিকজ ইউ অলরেডি হ্যাভ ওয়ান অ্যান্ড দ্যাট সলভস all your problems. Similarly, when we have a if that solves all your problems, that already introduces the condition. What is supposing doing? And similarly, when you are using supposing that solves or that introduces the clause, that introduces the condition, there is no point of using if. যেটা আমি একটু আগে বলছিলাম, this is called redundant or superfluous. That means we cannot use similar words together in a sentence when the only one serves all the purposes. যদি একটা ওয়ার্ডই আমার সব পারপাস সলভ করে দিচ্ছে, সে আর কোনো পয়েন্টই নেই সিমিলার আরেকটা ওয়ার্ডকে ইউজ করা। তাহলে either you can keep supposing then remove if, or you can keep if and remove supposing, but never together in a sentence. Clear? তাহলে আমরা এখান থেকে কি দেখলাম না, a part of the sentence contains an error. বোঝা গেল? তাহলে এখান থেকে আমরা কি দেখলাম, কি জানলাম, যে সাপোজিং ইফ কখনো আমরা একসাথে ইউজ করব না। অন দ্যাট ম্যাটার যদি এটাকে আমি কন্টিনিউয়াসলি বলি, এমন অনেক ওয়ার্ড রয়েছে যাকে, যেমন ধরো কনজাংশন অ্যান্ড রিলেটিভ প্রোনাউন cannot be used together, আমরা একসাথে ইউজ করতে পারি না একটা কনজাংশন এবং রিলেটিভ প্রোনাউন। why? Because a conjunction is conjunction that conjoins two sentences or phrases or words, but relative pronoun also does the same. Relative pronoun also connects to clauses, and that's why কোনগুলো relative pronoun, who, whom, which, what, that, that's why a conjunction and relative pronoun কখনো কিন্তু একসাথে বসে না। চলো নেক্সট সেন্টেন্স আমরা দেখি। He not only lost his home but also his dynamic job. 2021 CGL এর question. দেখো, he not only lost his home but also his dynamic job. আচ্ছা, এই যে not only but also, what are they? We know they are conjunctions, but what kind of conjunctions are they? Not only but also, either or, neither nor. These are called correlative conjunction. These are called correlative conjunctions. There are three kinds of conjunctions: coordinating conjunction, subordinating conjunction, and correlative conjunction. Now the question is, why they are called correlative conjunctions? এদেরকে আমরা correlative conjunction কেন বলি? এদেরকে correlative conjunction বলা হয় because they correlate, that means they relate similar things. আরো সহজে বললে, আরো ভালোভাবে বললে, they always maintain a parallel structure. What is parallel structure? Let's take an example. He neither visited Jaipur nor Udaipur. Look, I have used neither and nor here in this sentence. That is the correlative conjunction. But look at the placement. Neither has been placed before a verb, whereas nor has been placed before a noun. Neither has been placed before a verb nor has been placed before the noun, and that's why this is wrong, because this does not follow the parallel structure. তাহলে parallel structure করতে গেলে কি করতে হবে না, in order to follow the rule of parallelism, then either you have to move neither before Jaipur, because Jaipur also is a noun. Either you have to move neither before Jaipur, or you have to move nor before a verb. Now we know the sentence contains only one verb, that is the verb visited. So the sentence has only one verb, so we cannot use both the correlative conjunctions before the verb. আমরা দুটো correlative conjunction কে নিশ্চয়ই ভার্বের আগে বসাতে পারবো না। তাহলে convenient option কি? The convenient option is you have to move neither before Jaipur. তার মানে correct sentence হবে he visited neither Jaipur nor Udaipur. Now the sentence is correct. This kinds of sentences or these kinds of rules is called parallel structure. That's why they are called correlative conjunctions, because they follow a similar structure, right? Now let's look at the question. Look, he not only lost is your verb, his home, but also his dynamic job. So his possessive adjective has been placed. So not only has been placed before a verb, whereas but also has been placed before an adjective. That's why the sentence is incorrect. So we cannot move but also before a verb, because the sentence has only one verb. Therefore we need to move not only রেখে আমাকে মুভ করতে হবে। কার আগে মুভ করব? দেখো his home রয়েছে, another adjective is there, so not only should be move here. He lost not only his home but also his dynamic job. Now the sentence is correct. তাহলে এখানে এররটা কোন পার্টে থাকলো? A পার্টে। A part contains an error because the not only has been placed in a different place. Not only অন্য জায়গায় বসে আছে, তার যে ইউজুয়াল প্লেস সে সেখানে নেই। ক্লিয়ার? বোঝা গেছে? চলো কোশ্চেন নাম্বার 7 দেখি আমরা। 2021 CHSL এর কোশ্চেন নাম্বার 7, চলো সলভ করো। চলো দেখি। দেখো, she was both praised for her beautiful voice as well as her humble nature. আচ্ছা, এই যে both, look at both, that is a correlative determiner. Correlative determiner, and there is a fixed rule that whenever you are using a conjunction that follows both, that must be and nothing else. That means when both is used as a correlative determiner, it should be followed by and not as well as আমরা ইউজ করতে পারি না। এবং সিমিলারলি যেমন একটু আগে ডিসকাস করলাম either or neither nor not only but also, both also follows the same structure, that means same parallel structure, that means both and they should be used before the same parts of speech. দেখো এখানে আচ্ছা দেখো এখানে first of all the placement of both has been mistakenly given. এটা হওয়া উচিত কি she was praised for both her beautiful voice and her humble nature. That means the sentence contains two errors. First of all, both should be followed by and, that is error number 1, and the next one, as both also follows the parallel structure, therefore both must be placed here. Sentence হওয়া উচিত she was praised for both her beautiful voice and her humble nature. That should have been the correct answer বা correct sentence. কিন্তু এখানে যেহেতু bothের প্লেসমেন্টের থেকেও there is a major error, and that is and, that's why we will mark this part of the sentence as an error, not this part of the sentence, because that is the structural error. Both must be followed by and, nothing else, and that's why we will mark this part as an error. Understood? তাহলে আমরা কি জানলাম যে both should always be followed by and never as well as. Clear? চলো CPO 2022, chalo, very good question. চলো দেখি, run fast lest you will miss the train that leaves at midnight. A beautiful question. Now these types of questions usually come in two-folded, তার মানে দু রকম জায়গা থেকে এরর আসতে পারে. First of all, let's look at this word lest. What does it mean? এই lest কথাটার মানে কি? Lest means basically otherwise. দেখো, now replace lest with otherwise. Run fast, otherwise you will miss the train that leaves at midnight. If you replace lest with otherwise, then the sentence is correct. But you cannot replace rest. you cannot replace lest because it means otherwise, but fine, lest is fine, lest নিয়ে কোনো সমস্যা নেই, সমস্যা অন্য জায়গায়। whenever you are using lest, the modal that you are using, the modal that you are using, that cannot be will, it should be should. আবার বলি, whenever you are using lest, it must be followed by a fixed modal and that modal is should. Question এ would দিয়ে দেয়, question এ will দিয়ে দেয়, that's why you must know this, lest is always followed by should. Number one. But there is another type of error which comes from lest. Lest থেকে আরো এক ধরনের question আছে। Lest lest means otherwise, so it already gives us a negative sense and that's why it cannot be used in a negative sentence. For example, suppose if I say work hard lest you should not pass. Work hard lest you should not pass. Now already lest means otherwise, that means it gives us a negative sense. Therefore when you are using another not in the sentence, আমরা ম্যাথে কি শিখেছি, ডাবল নেগেটিভ becomes পজিটিভ। যদি আমি বাংলায় বলি যে আমি বলছি না যে আমি যাব না, what does it mean? এটার মানে কি, মানে হচ্ছে আমি যাব। Similarly, when you are using two negative words together in a sentence, the sentence becomes positive, or at least sentence gives us a positive vibe. That's why double negative must always be avoided. আমাদের সব সময় ডাবল নেগেটিভ অ্যাভয়েড করতে হবে। ক্লিয়ার? তাহলে আবার বলছি, in this sentence the error is in the B part because will must be replaced by should, but also you must know, you must remember that lest cannot be used in a negative sentence. Clear? Chalo. Question number 9. So this is a question from SSC MTS 2023. Although the truck was heavy laden, but it climbed the steep hill easily. মানে কি, what's the meaning of the sentence? Truck was full with heavy materials, but still it was able to steep the hill easily. তার মানে তার সত্ত্বেও সে খাড়া পাহাড়ে উঠতে পেরেছে, that's the meaning. But there is no point of getting the meaning here. You need to understand the rule of conjunction, where lies the error in this sentence. So look, whenever although is there in the sentence, then the conjunction you use, that is yet not but. যখনই আমরা সেন্টেন্সে although পাবো, তার সাথে yet conjunction আমরা ইউজ করি, আমরা কিন্তু but ইউজ করি না। এবার জানি যে what are but and yet. But and yet they both are similar and they are they are coordinating conjunction. They are coordinating conjunction. But and yet they are similar. They give us a similar sense because they both are used in order to cite a contrast. Contrasting বা contrast কে depict করার জন্য আমরা both are yet use করি. But what's the difference between them? The difference is but is usually used in a informal sense, whereas yet is used in a formal sense. Number one. Number two, whenever the sentence starts with although, we have to use yet, never but. Clear? তাহলে এই সেন্টেন্সে আমাদের এরর থাকছে কোথায়? বি পার্টে এরর থাকছে। ওকে, আমরা এখানে বাটের জায়গায় yet করব। চলো নেক্সট সেন্টেন্স দেখি। সেন্টেন্স নাম্বার 10। চলো দেখি। Now, she is such a generous woman who everyone respects her deeply. Now, there is a fixed correlative conjunction that is such ... that. That means such is always followed by that. Look, here she is such a generous woman who. So the conjunction that is used here, the relative pronoun that is used here is who, and there lies the problem. তার আগে একটু দেখে নিই why such is always followed by that. Because this is called cause and effect. She is such a generous woman. So this is the cause. What is the effect? That everyone respects her deeply. So such represents the cause and that represents the effect or the result. That's why such is always followed by that. এবং এর স্ট্রাকচারটা বলে দিই, such plus noun phrase plus that. That is the structure. Always remember that structure. Such plus noun phrase plus that. Look here, such a generous woman. Is it a generous woman? This is the noun phrase that is used here. Clear? তোমরা এখানে আরো একটা জিনিস রয়েছে, আমরা ইউজ করে থাকি such as. What's the difference between these two? Such as and such that. Such that is used to show cause and effect, cause and result, whereas such as is used to cite an example. Example দেওয়ার জন্য such as use করি. For example, if I say I have many friends such as Ram. So look, such as has been used here to cite an example, to give an example, and that is the difference between such that and such as. তাহলে মনে থাকবে whenever, and এই টপিক থেকে কিন্তু অনেক কোয়েশ্চেন এসছে, অলওয়েজ রিমেম্বার whenever you are using such, if you are using a conjunction, then that conjunction must be that, and this is a fixed structure. This is called correlative conjunction, and this is a fixed structure. Understood? Sure. Next question, question number 11, 2022 এর question. চলো দেখ, so look, the next question, question number 11 from SSC CGL 2022. There is a dispute between the landlord or the tenants regarding rent. So between, what does between do? What is the function of between? Between connects two dissimilar objects. Between কি করে, দুটো আলাদা আলাদা dissimilar object কে connect করে, that's what between do. Now when between connects to dissimilar objects, obviously you need a conjunction, that connects them. What is better than and এর থেকে better কি হতে পারে? So here or must be replaced by and, because between is always followed by and. যেমন আমরা আগেরটা দেখলাম such that, যেমন আমরা এর আগেরটা দেখেছি both and, similarly between is also followed by and conjunction, never any other conjunction. কোশ্চেনে কিন্তু যেমন এখানে দিয়ে দিয়েছে or দিয়ে দিয়েছে, কোশ্চেনে as well as ও দিয়ে দেয়। সবসময় মাথায় রেখো যে between connects to dissimilar objects, and basically helps between to connect them. Understood? So between is always followed by and preposition. So here the C part of the sentence contains an error because or must be replaced by and. This is your next question, question number 12, MTS 2022 এর question. So, I cannot confirm if he will attend the meeting or not. Now, this is a very important topic, important rule. I cannot confirm. So, and look at the last part of the sentence, or not. So, let's find another sentence. Let's understand this, and then we will move on to this question. Look at the sentence. I doubt. I cannot confirm. I cannot confirm. I doubt. These are similar, right? That means there is some sort of doubt in the sentence. Certainty is not there. Number one. Look at the conjunction we have used. Now, two conjunction, whether and if, they are similar because they similarly use in a sentence. They mean similar, tara dutoi motamoti similar ebong similarly use hoy, but there is a difference. What is the difference? If I remove this part of the sentence, suppose I doubt if he will come, if the sentence stays there, ei porjonto jodi sentence thake, then you can use both if or whether here. আমরা দুটোই লিখ করতে পারবো এখানে, আমরা if ও ইউজ করতে পারবো, whether ও ইউজ করতে পারবো। But the moment I add here or not part, the moment this part is added, this is called double phase situation. Previously it was single phase situation, now it becomes double phase situation, and only whether can take a double phase situation. একমাত্র ওয়েদারই ডাবল ফেজ সিচুয়েশন নিতে পারে, ইফ পারে না কিন্তু। দ্যাট মিনস whenever the sentence has or not part, then you have to use whether as a conjunction, never if. But if the or not part is there, then you can use both if or whether. Clear? Number one. Number two, তাহলে এখানে রুলটা কি দেখলাম? If the sentence has words like doubt, then cannot confirm, then wonder, if the sentence has these kinds of words, and if the sentence expresses a single phase situation, and if the sentence is assertive, then we use if or whether as a conjunction. But if the sentence represents a double phase situation, দুটো অপশনই যদি আমাকে দেয়, এটাও হতে পারে ওটাও হতে পারে, যদি দুটো অপশনই আমাদের দেয়, then you have to use only whether as a conjunction. Clear? বোঝা গেছে? চলো, তাহলে in this sentence the B part contains an error. B পার্টে আমাদের এরর রয়েছে because if will be replaced by whether. Next, question number 13. So question number 13, this is from CGL 2023. Let me just sip some water. Okay, so the reason for his failure is because he did not take these studies seriously. Now tell me, where do we use because? আমরা because কোথায় ইউজ করি? Because is used to cite, to implement, to express a reason. যেমন আমি যদি বলি I didn't go there because it was raining. Suppose if I write this, I did not go there because it was raining. So in this sentence, I didn't go there, that is the statement. Now when you ask why didn't you go there? What is the answer coming out? Answer is it was raining. That means that answer, the reason is given by the conjunction because. Clear? Now look at the sentence again. The reason for his failure is because he did not take his studies seriously. Now the reason, the very word reason has already been presented in the sentence. Sentence e already present kora hoyeche je keno se fail korechilo. Therefore we don't need another because in the sentence. অলরেডি যেহেতু রিজনটা দেওয়া রয়েছে আমাদের আর বিকজ ইউজ করার দরকার নেই, বিকজ দিস ইজ এগেন আমরা প্রথমের দিকে কিছু সেন্টেন্স এরকম দেখেছিলাম যে উই ক্যানট ইউজ more than one word, more than one similar word in a sentence because that is against the rule of redundancy or superfluousness or superfluity. We cannot break this rule. আমরা কখনো একই ওয়ার্ড বারবার ইউজ করতে পারবো না সেন্টেন্সে. That's why the because will be removed here and the B part contains an error. Clear? Understood? Very good. Next question number 14. SSC CGL Tier 1 এর question. Chalo, he had no other choice but to bow down before the dictator. Now, other. Where do we use other? আমরা other কে কোথায় ইউজ করি? Other is used in order to make a comparison. Comparison করার ক্ষেত্রে আমরা other ইউজ করি. এবার তোমরা আমাকে বলো, which word is used to cite a comparison? Usually than is used to cite a comparison. আমরা normally than কে ইউজ করি comparison করার জন্য. তাহলে তোমরা আমাকে বলো, which one should follow other but or than? আবার বলছি, যদি আদারকে আমরা ইউজ করি কম্প্যারিজনের ক্ষেত্রে তাহলে কম্প্যারিজনের জন্য কোন ওয়ার্ডটা সুটেবল হবে? বাট সুটেবল হবে নাকি দ্যান সুটেবল হবে? আমরা জানি তোমরা প্রত্যেকে আনসার করবে যে স্যার দ্যান, বিকজ দ্যান ইজ ইউজড ইন অর্ডার টু মেক আ কম্প্যারিজন, নেভার বাট, বিকজ বাট ইজ ইউজড টু সাইট আ কন্ট্রাস্ট। একটা কন্ট্রাস্টকে এক্সপ্রেস করার জন্য আমরা বাট ইউজ করি, whereas than is used to make a comparison. So always other is followed by than. একটা তোমাদের ইন্টারেস্টিং সেন্টেন্স দেখাই। সাপোজ আমি যদি বলি I prefer এক সেকেন্ড তোমরা কে কে আনসার করেছো আমি একবার দেখে নিই okay very good yes okay so I prefer tea to coffee তোমরা বলবে স্যার দিস ইজ এ কারেক্ট সেন্টেন্স আমি জানি তোমরা জানো যে prefer that is the Latin adjective and they are usually followed by two preposition never than preposition I know you know this rule right but I can use than preposition when I write the similar sentence with other or rather then I can use than coffee তার মানে you can say I prefer coffee বা I prefer tea to coffee or you can say I prefer tea other than coffee or rather than coffee that means when these words are used then they can be followed by than clear যখন আমরা other বা rather ইউজ করছি তারপরে কিন্তু আমরা than ইউজ করতে পারি তাহলে এখান থেকে আমরা কি দেখলাম যে whenever you are using other or rather in a sentence it must be followed by than and that is fixed never forget that এটা কিন্তু fixed rule other and rather are followed by than never but or in that matter any other conjunction clear let's move on to our last question today's last question 15 question number 15 this is from SSC MTS he was so tired as he could barely open his eyes চলো দেখি কি বলছে he was so tired as he could barely open his eyes now look he was so tired that is the cause what is its effect is he could barely open his eyes that means he cannot open his eyes this is the effect or result so we have cause and result the cause part is given by so দিয়ে আমরা cause part টাকে describe করেছি and the result part must be done by that result পার্টটা কিন্তু আমাদের that দিয়ে ইউজ করতে হবে so correct phrase is show that এখানে একটা জিনিস বলে রাখি show plus adjective or adverb plus that must be the structure show plus adjective or adverb plus that this is the structure of using show that তাহলে এখানে B part of the sentence contains an error এই পার্টটাতেই আমাদের এরর রয়েছে আবার বলছি তাহলে এখানে যেহেতু cause and effect বলেছে that's why we use show that show cannot be followed by as understood এবং এখানেও দেখো শো এর পরে একটা অ্যাডজেক্টিভ বসে আছে টায়ার্ড ক্লিয়ার সো দিস ইজ টুডেজ ক্লাস তোমরা প্লিজ কমেন্ট সেকশনে আমাদের জানাও যে কেমন হলো ক্লাসটা how do you feel about this class please comment on the chat box right and one more time তোমাদের এই উইকে সানডে ডব্লিউবিসিএস প্রিলিমস এক্সামস রয়েছে সবাই খুব ভালো করে এক্সামটা দাও মাথা ঠান্ডা করে এক্সাম দাও তোমরা কেউ কিন্তু ভুলো না যে বিফোর স্টার্টিং ইউর এক্সাম ফিল আউট অল দ্য নেসেসারি ডিটেলস বিকজ সামটাইমস out of fear বা out of tension we often miss to fill up those things. There are many students who have texted me, just sir, perhaps I have made an error while I was filling the credentials in the answer paper. So just be cool, be calm, and fill out those forms first and then start your exam. Again, English section, we don't know how it will be, but last time suggestion, just go through the previous 10 years question paper, especially the vocab section, right? Previous 10 years এর question paper টা একবার দেখে যাও তোমরা, এবং all the best guys. So ভালো করে exam দাও, আবার next ক্লাসে আমরা meet করব।